Welcome, fellow Phoenixes, to the Spiritual Phoenix Podcast, where we make a daily offering to the divine by putting our past on the pyre, searching the smoke for spirituality, turning the ashes into art, adapting isolation into connection, and manifesting mental wellness. I am a spiritual phoenix named Ross Cessna, and I wish to inspire the authentic expression of your soul into any avenue that elevates consciousness. I don't want to tell you what to think, but get you to think. Create your own understanding and express yourself in a way that is uplifting. We are the artists of our lives, and today is a blank canvas. Let's collectively create a better tomorrow for the planet and ourselves. And now I'd like to take a moment and focus on what we're grateful for today. Today, I'm grateful for and the pauses in between breaths. I'd like to get into a couple of quotes for the day. The first one would be, "The best word shakers were the ones who understand the true power of words. They were the ones who could climb the highest." And that was said by Marcus Zuzak. "The yogic sages say that all the pain of human life is caused by words, as is all the joy. We create words to define our experience, and those words bring attendant emotions that jerk us around like dogs on a leash. We get seduced by our own mantras. I'm a failure, I'm lonely. I'm a failure, I'm lonely. And we become monuments to them. We stop talking for a while, then is to attempt to strip away the power of words, to stop choking ourselves with words, to liberate ourselves from our suffocating mantras." And that was said by Elizabeth Gilbert. Words, so innocent and powerless as they are, as standing in a dictionary, how potent for good and evil they become in the hands of one who knows how to combine them. And that was said by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Words are things. You must be careful. Careful about calling people out of their names, using racial pejoratives and sexual pejoratives and all that ignorance. Don't do that. Someday we'll be able to measure the power of words. I think they are things. They get on walls. They get in your wallpaper. They get in your rugs, in your upholstery, in your clothes, and finally, into you. And that was said by Maya Angelou. It is said that the universe was created when the divine spoke the words, "I am." This isn't just in the Bible. It is in many sacred texts prior to the Bible. Following the Hermetic principle of correspondence, we have the ability to speak worlds into creation. We do this first by thought and then by the utterance of those words. I have mentioned on other episodes the words abracadabra and the meaning, "I will create as I speak." This is true in thought and the action of speaking or writing words. We have the potential to build a heaven in our minds or to be tormented in a living hell. We also can create the same things exteriorly by uttering words. I will paraphrase a quote from a lecture by Manly P. Hall on words. "Words do not die after we utter them. They live on into infinity. Every bad and every good word. If you want a better world, think positive words in your thoughts. Write and speak positive words, and live positive words through your actions." Manly P. Hall mentioned some other thoughts on the topic of words that really resonated with me, and rather than paraphrasing them, I would like to quote him. In regards to words, Manly P. Hall said, "As we study them, we will realize gradually that words are dedicated to 3 different levels of usage. The first and most important level is the word as truth. The second is the word is hope. The third is the word is fear. Even in our daily lives, many of our word terms and our expressions are used to sustain, support, or protect the individual of circumstances which he or she feels is hazardous or detrimental to himself." What a powerful statement that is. Prior to hearing those words, I had never thought of words that way. It has truth to it. A second quote from that lecture is, "Most of the difficulties that are confronting 2/3 of the world are due to words, badly chosen, backed by force, motivated by jealousies and greed, with no values in the basic purposes of life." Some might argue that words aren't the problem, but rather the actions. However, I would raise this question. Are not most of the destructive actions taken built upon the foundation of words spoken or written language or thought? It is my belief that the answer is yes. War is premeditated by disagreement, by legislation, by discussing tactics, by planning, with many words before a single offensive action occurs. Seeds of hate are sown verbally or in written form long before they grow into the actions taken in the manifestation of the idea of hate. The idea of hate is nourished by thoughts of the words of hate before an action of hate is created. I have mentioned before that hate is an easily spread disease. Often we hate those that do speak or act ill. However, we are then in the act of that which we profess to be against. We do not conquer hate by hating that which we oppose, by arguing with it, by taking action against it. That actually does the exact opposite of what we wish to achieve, and it turns us into a denizen of hate. It also further entrenches those infested with the words of hate deeper into their position and creates another avenue for them to spread this toxicity. Hate is the resistance to love. If we are on the side of love, we must love even those who do not love us. Love is unconditional acceptance. We teach by example, we prove them wrong by action which they are not prepared for, which is love. It is the fear in them that creates this anger, this distrust, this aggression, this greed. Anger is never a solitary emotion. It is a way of expressing pain. Distrust is based upon insecurity. Aggression is based upon showing superiority and therefore dominance. Greed is based upon the fear of lack. Many people are plagued by the fear of that which they don't understand in others, so they conspire to bend others to the will of rule of the words by which their minds are operated. In order to simplify the agenda of spreading hate, words are used to simplify the humanity of individuals and rob them of their inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These generalizations create an us versus them mentality. Some people use them in regards to sex, race, religion, or lack thereof, lifestyle, nationality, political view, financial standing, and down the line, ending up on the most mundane of choices such as sports teams and other forms of entertainment enjoyed. Sweeping generalizations oftentimes tend to be filled with many holes in reality and logic. Many times generalizations also show a lack of reason. The third statement Mr. Hall said in this lecture that resonated with me was the following. The Neoplatonists of Alexandria used the concept of words to be a sacred procedure, that any word that is spoken must come from the soul. If it does not arise in the soul and bring the mind into order, then it cannot be safely communicated to the outside world. I have mentioned before on previous podcasts that the word grammar comes from the word grimoire, which is a book of spells. I have also mentioned that spelling implies the action of casting a spell. Etymology, or the study of word origins and the way which their meanings have changed over history, can be a very illuminating undertaking. It is common in the world for people to profess their love of objects and objectify people. This is a dangerous thing. Many times, whatever the object of affection they profess love for is cast aside after the thrill is gone, after it stops working, and it is on to the next possession to fill that hole. I have mentioned on previous episodes that possession has the word possess in it. One of the modern definitions of possess means to have complete power over someone and be manifested through speech and action. While the archaic use of the word is the exact opposite, it means to maintain oneself or one's soul in a state of patience or quiet. It is said that the things you own you. How true this is. Oftentimes when people acquire a material abundance, a state of fear is created to the attachment of these objects, which manifests as greed, which manifests into defensive action taken. All of this created by the use of words and thought. A tenet of Buddhism is that all attachment creates suffering. In order to prevent the suffering of losing their possessions, they in turn inflict this suffering against those which they fear will take their objects of affection. One of my intentions of the new year is to master the art of communication. The understanding and use of words is imperative to this. Another concept mentioned in the lecture by Mr. Hall is the use of silence as nonverbal communication. Silence in itself can carry a powerful message. Properly spaced silence in a speech or conversation allows the listener to create their own understanding of what is being said rather than being spoon-fed what they want to hear. It also prevents the user of silence from having to speak ill. I had originally intended to end this with a call to action on the use of words, and instead I will end with this. I could go on, but it's time to put this episode on the pyre. If you'd like to get paid to write, click the link below. All you have to do is to be able to write 5 sentences in English. If you have a topic you wish to hear me discuss, or if you would like to be a guest on the show, please contact me via Facebook Messenger. Ideal guests will have had a major life obstacle they are overcoming or have overcome, and will have an inspirational, life-changing philosophy, spiritual awakening, or insight of lived experience to share. I do free tarot readings occasionally, and I'm building up a database so you can select a reading at random choice or read the most recent reading. A link will be in the description below. Also, I did a reading for the new year as a whole and a month-to-month tarot reading. I'll put links to that in there as well so you can get a concept of what the tarot says about the new year. It was overall a pretty positive reading for both of them. I'll put my social media links in the description. And if you could please leave a review on iTunes if you like the podcast, as it'll help me reach new listeners. Please take the time to respond to the PodTrack listener survey, as it'll help me better understand my audience. I love, respect, and appreciate all of you. Make this new year magical with the K. And with that, love and light, namaste.